Hey, greetings, welcome back to my channel. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Rome, co-founder of Indigo Media. And in today's video, I want to talk about client acquisition the organic way. I made a previous video, going over, you know, 5 major reasons as to why Facebook ads are dying and what you can do about it. And so in this video, I want to do sort of like a follow-up, towards that video around organic traffic and client acquisition because I know that one of the biggest bottleneck many businesses, brands and agencies are currently facing is client acquisition. And in our agency, after failing for 13, 14 months, and really being in the trenches, figuring it out, knowing how it works, how it doesn't work, we've really understood, what's the right way and what's the wrong way. And I just want to add some value, towards your business. Maybe you're just starting out, maybe you're gunning for your first 10K, your first seven figure, your first 100K and beyond. If so, then I believe this video will be of value to you. So let's dive in. Okay, so right off the get go, it has to do with content value and the sales asset. And content value has really to do with long form, short form podcast interview and insights. For this particular video, this video is a long form, sort of educational video that is giving you an insight into what we know, what we understand, and what is working for us and other brands. Other types and forms of content, it will match your audience and what your audience is looking for. So you have to be mindful of the type of content that you're putting out. But essentially, content is grounded and value. What is the value that you're presenting to your market space, to your audience? And really, that's essential the first step. Towards that, you have social media. Now, social media is where everything's being pushed towards. And as I mentioned earlier in my previous video, talking about the death of Facebook ads, you can check it out. In that particular video, really dive into what's happening where ads are concerned, all the noise and competition, and how the organic way, many brands are now realizing that TikTok is a number one platform you use for reach. Facebook and IG is the number one platform you use for engaging your audience. So these are the strategies that brands are now understanding that they have to shift that direct marketing process that we've all learned about in the past 10, 15 years to a more social media oriented approach where it's all about content, it's about posting on what platform, and understanding that algorithms are the process, it is the go-to in terms of the structure and strategy you use to actually gain attention, retain your attention, and acquire audience. And that goes to the first step, organic growth. Guys, attention is key. And where organic client acquisition is concerned, it's really about allowing persons, top of funnel, those who are considered cold audience, to know who you are by educating your prospect, giving them insights, giving them information about you, about your product, about your service, in such a way that they'll pay attention to you. They'll give you your time, give you their time, and they'll essentially start to follow you up and see what you're teaching, what are you about. And that is how it leads to inbound leads. The leads are now coming to you. You no longer. So the thing about ads is when you're doing marketing, ads is the fastest way to gain attention, paid marketing. And that's debatable depending on who you ask. We're talking about reels or short form content. TikTok, IG, YouTube, and Facebook, shorts, these short form content, it's gaining a massive amount of reach and traction. Now, but percentage wise, in terms of comparing paid marketing to short form content, it is debatable that paid ads is the far fastest way to actually gain eyeballs on what you're doing if you know how to position your ads properly, if you know how to stand out from the crowd, the offer, the headline, the content, the image, and all that sorts. But where organic growth is concerned, inbound leads, it's really about putting content out there that is really centered on value, sales asset, giving information to your audience, and allowing them to develop interest in what you're saying that they raise their hand in the marketplace and they begin to say, they want to learn more from you, and they now come to you. And by doing that, it also works for brands who are building a customer following for persons to buy a product from you. This creates loyal followers when people are engaging with you at an emotional level, because they want to see who you are, what you're talking about, what's going on here. And essentially, this is really being understood or understand more and more and more by many brands and many agencies out there, that they have to build, an organic, process around whatever they're doing. And that is really the efficient model that is being used right now for client acquisition. And then that leads into building a community. Guys, this is the bread and butter for client acquisition when it comes to, creating an ecosystem for your audience. So essentially speaking, when you create a content, you put that content out there, 5, 10, 15 content, sales assets, you're creating value for your marketplace. As you create value, you get attention. People are seeing you, people are following you, people are seeing what you're about. They like what you're presenting, they're asking questions, they're looking at your social media handle to see what you're about. What happens next is, by you gaining all this traffic, all this attention towards yourself, what you do next is that, or what we recommend, what many brands are out there recommending, what we're now seeing working, is where you lead this particular traffic to your ecosystem. Thus, you take the attention, and guys, this is what happens, when it comes to email marketing. You lead a traffic to an opt-in page, to a lead magnet, and you take their email. It's the same thing here, but instead of just taking an email, we now recommend that we're seeing a massive shift where communities are concerned, how building brands are concerned, how agencies are concerned. And what persons are realizing is, for you to really scale efficiently with all this competition, you really have to dive into, engaging your audience, communicating with your audience. And the number one way in which you communicate with your audience, besides posting content where they're seeing what you're teaching, how communicate, back and forth with your audience, is by building a community, building Facebook group, Discord, Telegram, and I've even heard some persons using WhatsApp. Can't really speak much on that. But essentially, what works, what we're seeing, that is making lots of money. It is really creating massive amount of loyalty, massive amount of traction in the market space, is by creating Facebook groups, Discord, Telegram group, where you put the traffic, or you place your traffic, from social media, all that organic, content that you're pushing out, all that organic attention you're getting, you create CTAs, lead them back to a community. And when they're in that community, engage that particular audience, and create content. You run different types of offers, or there's all sorts of process that you can now do once you have these persons in your own ecosystem. And this is one of the number one solution you can implement in your agency, in your brand, in your company. That if you're really going for longer LTV, repurchases, higher sales and such forth. Building a community is so essential, because that is how you're able to monetize the entire process, from zero to your first 10K, to your first 50K, to your first 100K. For us in our agency, we're not gunning for our first 10K, then our 50K, then our 100K, because we have a blueprint, we have a roadmap. And that's why I can sit here breaking down to you what we're seeing works, what doesn't works. And having persons in your group, in your own ecosystem, that's the way in which you're now able to engage your audience and create monetization processes around that particular audience. And I'm not going to dive too much into the intricacies of how that works and compare it to paid ads or such forth. But essentially speaking, what I want you to understand, the biggest takeaway from this video, is by realizing and accepting that creating content right now to gain attention will serve you longer. It will increase goodwill. It will build a stronger reciprocation towards your audience, because if you have a product or a service and you're not known, and worst case scenario, though, you don't have a lot of money, you're just coming up, Guys, girls, the way in which you gain attention, the way in which you monetize your product or your service is by creating content, producing value on the front end. Then you bring your audience, you bring that traffic through a funnel, through social media. You begin to build more value, create more attention, create more interest in the market space. Then you create your ecosystem, bring them to your ecosystem. Then you create monetization processes around what you have created, because at this particular point of the cycle, people already know you, they know what you're about, they like you. And if we're talking about time frame, it's okay, Rome. What's the time frame we're looking at? How long does this take from inception, day one, creating content, to the monetization process? I can say this is, it's a long-term process. You're in it for the long run. Now, this isn't an overnight, hit or miss, or hoping or wondering if it will work, or your first 10K in 1 week. Yes, there are strategies. There are understanding, but once implemented, no, you can easily create a predictable process around what you're doing within this entire process. Essentially, whether whether you know this already, or this is your first time coming upon such concepts and ideas, the fact of the matter, creating content, putting yourself out there, creating your first YouTube videos, creating shorts, being on Instagram, being on TikTok, creating value, actually understanding your marketplace, creating your avatar, understanding what people want, what people don't want, what are type of contents, understanding the algorithms on each platforms. Getting into this and creating content, sales assets, educational content, insightful content, type of contents that your marketplace want to see, it will serve you tremendously. It creates inbound leads, build loyalty, increase LTV, and your expenditures to actually acquire customers within 6 months becomes little to nothing. So guys, girls, this is it. This is a simplified way for you to understand essentially what's happening in this marketplace and how you are able to start creating content as an agency owner. I know last year, early last year, the middle of last year, no one told me or my business partner that we need to create content. We need to show our expertise to a marketplace and give value. Show persons what we're doing, what is working on our journey, so they can use it to help themselves. And as you're building this, you're creating goodwill, reciprocation builds, people understand what you're about, and people start to like you. And people liking you actually allows you to actually scale your business, gain more attention, build referral programs, and the list goes on. So essentially, that is really a simplified process to the entire blueprint, the framework that we're using, framework that we're seeing. And below this graph, you have best practices. And really, these are essential stuff most of you should know already. I put it there just in case you haven't learned about associate repurpose content. That's essential speaking, where you have a content posted on one platform, you take that content and you slice it up. For you have a long form content, you slice that content up, put it on TikTok, Facebook, or IG, and then you edit it differently and such forth. These are just strategies and tactics you can use to actually, create a blueprint about content, or how you're gonna go about creating content, or what's the mindset or the framework that you should be working with going forward, approaching this funnel or approaching this particular process. And then you have AI content strategy. And a lot of persons are now using ChatGPT, Tome, and other AI softwares or AI tools to help in their AI, help in their content strategy. I also just suggest that you start doing this. It will speed up your workflow. So this is a good strategy. So if you're just starting out, AI content strategy is so vital. It is so important. Look into that. Value first. You're gonna hear me talk a lot about value going forward in the next 3 to 6 months, because essentially, what you put out there for your marketplace matters, and you have to create enough value for your market, in your market space, for your audience. So essentially, it's like this: people don't care about what you have, what you're selling, what you're offering, until they understand how much you care. It doesn't matter to your audience what you're offering if they feel that you don't care about their interests. That's why it is known by the best marketers on this planet that you put your marketplace first. You put your audience first. The customer is always right. So this is a very ancient term that is used. Guys, it is true. You have to put value first by understanding your market space, by understanding who are you serving. You have to develop the humility to understand that essentially the value you are creating will serve your audience and it will serve you. People help those who help them. So you have to, put your good, foot forward and help your audience for you to actually see that return. The input dictates the output every single time. Production second, yeah. So value first, production second, and essentially, it's really a matter of understanding that the information in the videos that you're creating is more important than the video itself. And what does that mean? I know a lot of persons that they may not have the right tools, they may not have a proper microphone. I don't have a proper microphone. You may not have the right gears for you to create high end, production video. That is okay. The goal here is for you to start, for you to get out of your way, out of limiting beliefs, and actually start creating content, start to post content online, with the interest, with the goal of helping persons to solve their problems. So it's really a matter of you understanding what you're teaching. That does come first. You understanding what you're teaching to this marketplace is 10 times more important than the thumbnail, than the lighting and every other things that it really is important. I'm not saying it is not. It's really just more centered around the awareness that you have to understand that if your production is 10 times more than the value that you're presenting, then people won't like it. It will be vanilla. It's lackluster. Person, okay, this video looked really awesome, but they didn't learn anything from your video. You have to understand that your goal in creating content, in creating sales asset, creating overwhelming value to educate your prospect, to entertain your prospect, to actually give your audience what they want. It's really about value first. Then, when you really dial that in, you then focus on production. Then focus on the customer. Just talk a lot about that. Really give them all your attention, what they're about, what they want to see. There's many strategies that can be used. Social media like Instagram is really a great place to understand your marketplace, understand what people are really getting into, and such forth. And authenticity and transparency. Oh, that is so so important. And then this really goes back to value first, creating a personal brand. I know a lot of business owners out there. A lot of the courses I take, a lot of the persons I once followed, teachers that I once had. I was teaching, whether it was Facebook marketing or how to create an agency or how to do this or how to do that, how to create funnel. Majority of these persons, they present themselves as well-meaning, but in most cases they're not. I know their intention, it bleeds through because our skepticism is really really high. We're very skeptical by nature. Thus, essentially, more and more persons internationally across this online space, they're looking for authenticity and transparency. Thus, be yourself. Thus, be yourself. I learned from some great teachers, Alex Sarnosi, Serge Katari. I won't say him, and I went to the Iman course, learned some stuff, but the guy's cool, but he's not someone I really follow. But essentially, there are a lot of persons out there who are really great teachers, and you can learn from them, but don't copy persons. Don't try and plug and play every single thing that you see out there. Learn from someone, but then put your own spin to what you're learning. This is so vital. I can't stress this enough. Be authentic, be transparent, be open. Really, become engaging and open and communicative with the persons who you're serving. Because what when you begin to build content, when you begin to present yourself in a marketplace on the internet and persons begin to follow you, they begin to like you, they begin to watch you, you're now impacting persons. You're helping to change belief systems. And by doing that, people are now paying attention to who you are. People want to know more about you as a person. Yeah, the knowledge you have is very important, but who are you? We're humans. And I think that being authentic and transparent in 2023 is a is one of the biggest must-have for you to create a personal brand, for you to grow your business, for you to create a real good product and actually have that product excel, with all the competition, all the noise and distraction out there in the marketplace. So guys, girls, if this video was of any value to you, do follow, do like, do subscribe, and yeah, stick around. There's a lot more content coming, similar content to this, and a lot of other ideas. I'm having things, I'm seeing insights what's working in my agency, our agency, my business partner on the back end, and there's a lot of things that I want to share with you to give you value. So if you're just starting out, maybe you're 10K already, you're gunning for your first 100K. I believe a lot of what we're seeing, it will really help you. We're learning from the best. We're part of groups that we're seeing excelling in their particular niche or niches. So yeah, what I have, I think it can really change your life. So thank you for tuning in.